Welcome to the Confessions of a Group X Instructor podcast. For group exercise junkies and enthusiastic classgoers, we'll explore and uncover authentic, thought-provoking, and heartwarming industry education and inspiration from entertaining, badass fitness pros. And now your host, creator of Warrior Rhythm, Warrior Strength, Warrior Combat, Warrior Revolution, and Warrior Kids Group fitness brands, Ellen DeWord. Here we grow.
Hey everybody, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. This is episode 40 freaking 6. I can't even believe it. I cannot believe it's been almost a full year. I have not missed a Monday, and I'm proud of myself, and I'm proud of you. I'm proud of us. I'm proud of what we're doing here with this podcast. I think we're making a difference. I think it's affecting our classes in a positive way. I'm so thankful for all the guests that I've had on, and holy moly, I have a stellar lineup of guests coming soon. And I'm really thankful for you, the listener. Thank you for the ratings and the subscribing and the sharing and all that jazz that you're doing. Just know that it really validates my effort over here. And with that, let's dive in. So today we're going to talk about the unruly class goer, and when does it rise to the level of something that you might want to address? Ugh, this is a hard thing. This is really a hard thing. This is one of the harder things that we encounter, I think, as fitness professionals, is when we just have like that jerk that comes into the classroom. And I shouldn't even say that jerk, because sometimes they are jerks, but sometimes they're not jerks at all. They're just unaware, or sometimes they're just like unaware. All right, so let's talk about what do I mean when I say the unruly class goer? Oh my gosh. It takes some different forms and shapes, but I'll try to give some examples. The unruly classgoer is a disruption to not just you, but actually more important than you, a disruption to the class experience from the other members. So I think sometimes there's a fine line, and I really, with this episode, want to make that fine line a thick line. I want to make it a little clearer for you, because there are certainly times where we just need to let it go, like let it roll off our back. So someone was a little chatty that day, or so someone, came in late noisily or left early noisily, like let it go. Or they were doing their own crazy little workout while you're, they're doing their own crazy little moves while you're teaching a certain sequence. Sometimes we just need to let it go, especially if we think it's like a one-off, like a one and done. But if this is like someone who's like posting up and they keep coming back and they're becoming part of your class experience, like they're becoming a regular, and they're having a negative effect on the energy and the experience of the other members, that's when, let's make this line thick, that's when you're going to want to step in and address it. So let's step back for a second. It helps to know what your triggers are and to be aware of what your classroom triggers are. Some of them are very universal, and some of them are a little more specific and unique. So let's see, an example of something that might be a little more specific and unique would be like someone that wears too much fragrance or perfume to class. Like I am a migraine sufferer, so I'm hypersensitive to fragrances, perfumes, colognes, lotions, even if someone is like wearing it thick, if someone has a heavy fragrance, it is nauseating to me. But not just to me, to others like me. So fragrance is a trigger for some people, not just migraine sufferers, but certainly to migraine sufferers. So maybe having a no fragrance etiquette or an etiquette sheet. Maybe your marketing team, club owner, manager has something like that, or would be willing to put something like that, like classroom etiquette. So that would be something that's like a little tiny bit more unique. Something that maybe is a little more global is a class goer that's super chatty, and that it's a disruption to you, what you're trying to build and create, the culture you're trying to foster in your room. If the chattiness is a disruption to that, and it's negatively affecting others and the experience you want to bring others, then that could need to be addressed. But you kind of got to know, you kind of need to like self-evaluate what is important to you and in what format, because it's not always the same. So, for example, there was a time where I taught water aerobics. That class was so chatty. Oh my gosh, chatty. And you know what? It didn't bother me one little itty bitty tiny smidge. I did not mind that they were chatty. I liked it. I liked it. It was just part of their shtick. Like they got together to wiggle around in the water with their noodles and talk. And however, I was also teaching a cycle class at that same time. And if people were chatty in that class, it was very bothersome to me because I cared very much. I wanted, specifically me, I wanted a class culture that was very focused with like a very athletic, uh, almost serious, not fun, but a focused energy. And if someone was chatting all the time to people during the class, it would be something that I would want to address and in fact have. Let's see. Something else that if it hasn't happened to you, it might someday, probably. Sometimes a rando member will come into your space, whether it's the pool or the yoga room or the group fitness studio or cycle studio or where I'm teaching right now, one of the places I teach is outdoor. It's the coolest place in the world. It's the turf. It's like an outdoor elevated turf. And the members love it out there. And it's really cool. And it's a perfect place to like do box jumps and do all kinds of stuff. Members go out there. And it's kind of new and it's kind of a new space. And so they don't necessarily know the schedule. And so I've been teaching out there, and like a member will just come out and start doing their own random workout in the corner. Meanwhile, I'm leading a class, and it's super disruptive. And it opens Pandora's box. I have to address it. Because if I let so and so out there in the middle of my class, standing in the corner doing box jumps or whatever they're doing, then I have to let the next person and the next person. And before I know it, I might have 6 people out there doing their own random workouts while I'm trying to teach warrior strength. So I address those. I have a conversation, and I'm always approach them with, first of all, I practice. I know how to handle it because I've practiced and I've thought about it, how I'm going to handle that situation, and diffuse it in a like really kind and professional way that gives them understanding. And 99% of the time, the member is super cool. Very rarely is a member, like popping their hip out angry that mostly they understand. I actually use that word like, oh, I know what you're doing is like really cool and you're kind of keeping to yourself out here in the corner, but it is a classroom setting. And if I say yes to you, then I have to say yes to everybody. And before we know it, we're going to have a whole bunch of people out here trying to work out while I'm trying to teach this class. And, just saying it like that, explaining the why. That's one of my tips. One of my tips is explaining the why. Another tip I have is start hard conversations like this with a question. Start with a question. So what I tend to do, like specifically in that space, but this applies anywhere. And I've had this happen at other gyms and in other class settings across the years I've been teaching, but with this new turf, it's come up a few times. But another tip I have is just start with a question like, hey, did you know that we have a class going on? Would you like to join us? And sometimes they're like, no, I didn't know there was a class going on. What is it? Yes, I'll join. Like I get people in every week like that. Because every week when I go out there, there's people on the turf. Anyway, this isn't about my experience. This is about you. So, similarly, like at the water aerobics program at at the DAC, there was a member that, I mean, there was a class where some members wanted to be in the pool doing their own workout, the small pool, the warm pool, and doing their own workout in the back during class. And so we had to address that. The instructor had to address that and say that during this hour of the day, the pool is not available for personal use, only for the class. So anyway, that is something that comes up. The chit-chattiness, they have their social needs. Like they people don't just come to the gym because of their physical fitness needs. They come for all kinds of reasons, spiritual, emotional, social, physical. And so navigating the whole like, is it okay if they're talking? And like how much of that is okay? Fine line, thick line. Like how much of being chit-chatty in class is okay? And how do you address it? And how do you address it with kindness and professionalism and in a way that like doesn't make them feel bad? So coming in late, leaving early, like that doesn't bother me. That might bother you, or that might be a rule at your club that they're not allowed to enter a classroom late. That's just not an idiosyncrasy of mine. I don't mind. I'm always just grateful they can make it for however long they can. And if that means they have to come late, cool. If that means they have to leave early, cool. I do appreciate it when people let me know, when people let us know when they're leaving early. So to just back up, when someone's behavior is unruly and it's bigger than just bothering you, but it's a disruption to the class experience that you want to give, and it's negatively affecting the other members in the room, that's when it rises to the level of you needing to address it. Especially if it's a member that looks like they're there to stay. They're not just like in one day and gone forever, but they're like settling in. I want to empower you to have those conversations and to know that you're allowed to have expectations for your class setting. You are the conductor of that orchestra. You have so much to do with the personality and the character of the class. Like it becomes its own personality. Each class has its own persona. And you have so much to do with cultivating and creating that it's almost like pruning your garden so it can grow better and flourish more, like pulling the weeds out of your garden. And it's not like you're kicking someone out, but not tolerating disrespectful behavior and disruptive behavior is absolutely appropriate for you. And you should feel empowered and able and capable and equipped to have those conversations. And it might not be a bad idea to talk to your group fitness manager if that's not you and brainstorm with them too, or ask if they're having some of the same experiences or if anyone else is having some of the same experiences. My tips for you are this: ask questions. Ask them questions. Start with questions. Explain your why. Of course, this goes without saying, be dripping with kindness and compassion. And finally, make sure that you are responding to the problem as opposed to reacting to it in the moment. So those are my tips for dealing with your unruly, difficult class goers. Protect your space, protect your people. You deserve to create an atmosphere where you're supported. And I do want to say, like, that I wanted to also mention that sometimes people do their own workout during your class, but they're in your class. They're half participating and they're half doing their own thing. This is different than someone who is modifying because they need to modify the movements. We love that. We want that. We support that. Yes, go. Yes, modify. Like adapt this workout or this move with the cues and tools I'm giving you to do so, and take out the impact, take out the long lever length, take out the speed, take out the range of motion, like adapt it. Like, look, we're giving them tools to adapt it to their bodies. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about someone who, if you're doing mountain climbers, they're doing plank jacks just for the hell of it. And if it's someone that's doing that all the time, again, address it. Why do you do different exercises than I'm providing for the class that are equally intense, have the same amount of impact? Why do you do that? Ah. And then when you ask a question, it makes them wonder, why is she asking me this? Why are they asking me this? Why is he asking me this? Okay. It's a little disruptive. It's a little hard. It's a little hard to teach when you're doing plank jacks and everyone's doing mountain climbers and we're trying to like build this kind of honestly flow state, this camaraderie. And when one person is kind of going rogue, it makes it kind of hard for me to create the class experience I'm trying to. So maybe you could consider, like, as you come to this class, following along. So those are my tips. Good luck with your unruly class goers. I know you have them. I'm going to give you my a confession. Okay, ready? It's related. I cannot even believe this story, but it is a true story. During the pandemic, we were teaching our cycle classes up on a deck that is like 5 stories off the street, 5 stories up, deck, like a balcony. And we would, the instructor, me in this case, was at the intersection of the balcony. I don't think I'm explaining that very well, but anyway, I was in the corner. I was in the corner, and then there was like one row of bikes, and they were, of course, 6 feet apart, and they were angled towards the instructor. And then so there was like 10 bikes down one way and 10 bikes down the other way. And I was at like the point of the V, like the point of the right angle. And during this one class, this girl that I didn't like, she was not a regular. She she got off her bike in the middle of class and turned it around backwards, like her butt towards me. And anyway, I addressed it, and I think I waited until class was over, which was a hard call. Because sometimes you do need to address something in the moment, and that might have been one of those times. But I waited till class was over and I started with my question. And then her answer really surprised me. I was like, hey, how come you turned your bike around during class? And she's like, because I'm trying to get a suntan and I wanted it equal right side and left side. And I was like, oh my gosh, oh, okay, well, that makes sense. And then I said, well, just so you know, like from my vantage point, it it felt disrespectful. It felt like your body language would suggest you were completely tuning out, not just me, but this whole entire room. Like you were not part of the group. And I'm trying to like create an environment where everybody feels like part of a group. And so in the future, if you're going to attend class, can you please wear sunblock? No, I didn't say, can you please wear sunblock? I just said, can you please not move the bike? And she totally got it. She was just like clueless. She was not trying to be rude at all. Not even a little bit. She was actually super apologetic. I'm like, no, I just want to let you know so it doesn't happen again. So that's my crazy confession. Can you even imagine? Can you even imagine someone turning their bike around and facing you with their butt? Anyway, never happened again. And that was that. So that's it. Like, it's freeing, it's liberating, it's good. We have to be able to have hard conversations sometimes as fit pros. All right, everybody, have an amazing week of classes, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for joining in on the Confessions of a Group X Instructor podcast. If you're interested in becoming a warrior instructor, go to warriorinstructors.com. But if you want more and found this episode amazing, please give us a rating. And with a simple click to subscribe, we'll invite you back to our next episode. So remember, be brave, be bold, be blessed. And above all, listen, learn, love.